And let's talk about Miss Ava Max. I'd say she works quick because her album Don't Click Play came out last year, and I think it just premiered the crickets. A lot of people didn't care, but me as a music connoisseur and a fan of dance pop music and music that I need to get me going at the gym, this album has definitely got me through the last couple of months. And so she recently just did an interview with Variety where she opened up about what's been going on with her and a lot of the stuff that we've actually talked about on the show, including her being in a relationship with Circuit and Circuit cheating on her with her co-writer and all that is mentioned. So let's get into it. So, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, so are the days of our life. No, I'm kidding. Ava Mack is back with new music since parting ways with her old label, who didn't know what to do with the dance pop singer songwriter. So last week, Ava Max decided to break her silence on what's been happening behind the scenes over the last few months. After days of teasing what appears to be the start of a new era on social media, she posted an open letter to her fans, avatars as they're called, revealing that she's been working on new music and, as some had suspected, that she left Atlantic Records, her label home for nearly a decade, which I think was the smartest move she could have made. In retrospect, I'm better off now because it taught me to stand up for what I believe in and not be afraid to speak up about what's important to me. This is what she wrote. I had to change a few things about what around and do what's best for the music I want to make. Today, Max is speaking candidly about the look, and as she looks back on the year that led her to this moment of newfound confidence, she says, I know what I want, and I think honestly, it's a good feeling to know what you want, she tells Variety in the lobby of her new apartment building in Los Angeles, just 2 days before the arrival of her new single Kill It Queen. Damn, y'all work fast. Well, interviews don't take hard, it don't take long to do. Like you can put that up in a moment. But yeah, Kill It Queen dropped yesterday, actually, and I actually like the song. And she said, and that is a beautiful place to be in, or not necessarily yesterday, 12 midnight. So it came out this morning, technically, if you want to be, as I said, you want to be technical. And that is a beautiful place to be in. When you wake up, it makes you excited about life. Indecision is what was stressing me out before, being stuck. And I think it's also the fear of the unknown that you feel like, oh, what will I do and where will I go if I actually come out and speak out against the establishment, which would be the record labels or whatever the case is. But I tell people now, these days, the industry has changed so much. You don't really need a label. I mean, it's good that you started off your launching pad with a label and you're able to go off and do your own. I mean, they helped you accumulate numbers and all this other stuff, but they didn't really support you, but your fans stood by you. So as long as you probably go to a like if you go independent because you've already accumulated your fan base, you could introduce yourself to newer people who aren't familiar with you, but still hold on to those same fans if you stick to what it is that you want to do creatively. And so they said Max is lighting the fuse on the next phase of her career with a new team that she refers to as her wolf pack. On Wednesday, she released Kill It Queen, the first offering from her upcoming fourth album, due later this year. She partnered with artist PG, reuniting her with former Atlantic executive Mike Caren, who fostered her early success with the imprint and retained a new publicity team. But I think it's smart. Go back to the person who understands you, who knows you inside and out, who sees your potential and has ushered you into the success that you had, because a lot of times when that person that signed you sees your potential and they end up leaving because of whatever reason, if they were fired or there was layoffs, whatever the case is, and then you as an artist are stuck there because you signed a contract with the label and you got people that are there who don't know how you work and understand your ethic and what you do creatively, they're not going to have your best interests at heart. So the smart thing for her to do was be like, I'm going to go back to the person who understands me. So they said, all of this, she says, is a welcome sea change. They're calling me all day and night, and I'm just like, wow, they're more excited maybe than me. How is that possible? Now, Kill It Queen is a self-empowered anthem in a classic Max mold, a forceful pop tune that leans even harder into the towering sound of past singles. She taps into her artistic roots. Her mother sang opera back in Albania and embraces her falsetto, something she owned with Eric Vetro, the gold standard of vocal coaches, Clients include Ariana Grande and John Legend. The track is produced by author Besna and Sam Martin, collaborators who have been working with Max on her next single and album. She's aware that the recurring online discourse that she should try something other than the explosive sound of her past singles, saying it only made her play into it more. Something struck a chord. I'm like, no, I love pop music. I love making pop records. Why would I leave that just because I wasn't supported last year? Excuse me. And I had a team that didn't see me, she says. That's why I restructured everything. I left my record label. I love all those people, but they weren't the right fit because someone who doesn't see the beauty in pop music is not the right person for me to work with. Now, she's touching on one of the most challenging periods of her career when she released her third studio album, Don't Click Play, last August. Damn, it's been that long since the album came out. That's like 6 months ago, Jesus. She felt immobilized. The pop singer, whose hit singles Sweet But Psycho and Kings and Queens had more than 3 billion Spotify streams between them, had been trying different managers on a trial basis, but none of them were sticking. At the end of 2023, she split with Circuit, her longtime producer and boyfriend, who started dating her co-writer Madison Love, and was left with a lingering sense of distrust. Ultimately, she felt isolated from Atlantic and the engine behind her success, and she signed in 2016. Max noticed a shift in her standing with Atlantic not long after her debut album, Heaven and Hell, was released in 2020. She recalls, for instance, that they wanted her to adjust her sound and get rid of her signature max cut hairstyle, saying it was an energy shift. It was almost like, okay, we're leaving her on her own. That's how it felt. And I just knew something had to change, but I couldn't change it right away. She pauses while discussing the chapter in her life to air out her black tea. She said, I'm like dripping sweat. Now, Don't Click Play, she says, was entirely her vision. She did it all without her A&R, who wasn't answering my calls. It arrived with a question mark. Was the album actually dropping when they said it would? And after it ultimately did release on time, it was followed by the postponement and subsequent cancellation of her second headlining tour. The stress of it all took a physical toll. She developed headaches and vertigo and knew something had to change. She met with Atlantic and they mutually decided to part ways, saying at the end of the day, we respected each other, describing it as a grown up breakup. We kind of came to an agreement like we're better off without each other. Well, if that's the case, why did it feel like she just kind of, I mean, the label, they were trying to find ways of, oh, we're going to silently sabotage you because they're like, oh, well, your A&R is not picking up your calls because it's like, okay, I want to work on my new album. Why aren't you answering me or whatever the case? So now I got to do everything myself, which it goes to show like if you have to do everything yourself and you have to take your career in your own hands and the label is not doing what they're is not doing their part, then you don't need them because to me, I feel like they really didn't support you as an artist when you were there. And I know people like to give Ava the Gaga comparisons or whatever the case is, but I'm just like, okay, besides the some of the rahs and mamas that she throws up in her songs, whatever, hers and Gaga's music is completely different. It's no different. Well, it's kind of like similar to there was a recent video that I saw, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this." I used to talk about this all the time. When Gaga first came out with her debut album, there was this other artist from Estonia by the name of Curly who used to come in and had like similar styles to Gaga, and people used to call Curly the next Gaga. She used to get pissed because the one thing was Curly would come out with her different looks, and so I know this because I'm from the era of MySpace. And I had a lot of friends that I was people I was friends with on MySpace and listening to a lot of the music, her music and Gaga's music was vastly different. But the visuals, the fashions, and all those things were similar. And I noticed that I don't know if it was Gaga per se, maybe it was because when you have a lot of money and a machine behind you, they will. They're the industry is notorious. Major labels are notorious for stealing from ideas from the smaller person as if we don't know how to. Well, I don't know if the internet was as prominent as it was back in the day. Like we don't do research and they will go and look at the smaller person and they'll take from them and apply that same aesthetic, whether it's music or the visuals or the outfits or whatever the case, makeup, whatever you want to do, wigs, they apply it to their artists. So it just looks like, okay, so I just literally had gotten this look, and 2 weeks later, you out here with the same look. So that's what it was. I know like Ava was getting those comparisons, but I'm like, that's just lazy. To me, she was trying to find a way to stand out with the asymmetrical haircut. And yes, similarly, they were doing dance music. And I do find it funny. They was telling her that she needs to step away from doing the genre that she likes. And my thing is, stop treating pop music like it's a bad word because it's not. I feel like it's particularly in this country. Y'all don't respect pop music and pop artists unless it's one of y'all faves doing it. But I've always loved pop music. Pop just means popular, or just you know how to like. It's a certain structure that goes with that music. And if it's just a 2.5, 3 minute song that's gonna give me my life and get me dancing and make me feel happy and have a good time just for a moment with a catchy ass hook, then I'm here for it. And I like. I've always been one of those that roots for the underdog. And to me, I've always looked at Ava as someone who is an underdog. And to me, unlike some of these girls out here who got mid-ass solo careers, Ava seems like she's really hungry, and she's showing it that she's taking her career in her own hands and is willing to do what she got to do to get where she needs to get. And so, shout out to you. I'll be rooting for you, and I'll be looking forward to this album. Because here's the one thing I'll say is that don't click play. I love that record. I've been listening to Skin in the Game. That song for some reason has just been on repeat. I just love the way that whole song goes. And World's Smallest Violin. I love that song. It's like, and I love Sweet But Psycho. Every time Sweet But Psycho comes on in my Apple Music, because I have a certain rotation of songs that just be, floating through whatever. When that song popped, I was like, oh, I haven't heard this song in a minute. When I have it on the shuffle. And I was like, or in my faves, and I listen to it. I'm like, oh, this gives me every time. And it's just catchy. I just love a good catchy bop. And she definitely has an ear for a good catchy bop. So shout out to you, Ava Max. I'll be rooting for you. We'll all be rooting for you. I can't help not reference Tyra in this damn show, apparently. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Or, for those of you out there who are avatars, or maybe not, or maybe you like a casual listener of Ava Max, are you excited to see what this new era is going to bring now that she has freed herself from the shackles of a tight ass Atlantic Records? So, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below.